There in the workplace, you do have to keep that separation. It is extremely important to do that. I think where you may be coming from, Joseph, is that, you do spend so much time with people at work and in your job and at the workplace, that sometimes you do fall a little too comfortable. And, if you're having a rough day, a rough time or whatnot, and that's the only person you're going to be with the next 12 hours, you feel the need to reach out and want to cross that line. But again, you just don't know people as well as you think. And it is a professional atmosphere. And although you do spend time with people and need to be personable and have some of those connections, you really don't know what other people are going through. You also don't really know what their threshold is and trusting them. And you can get into trouble if you go too far beyond those boundaries.
And again, you have to always remember that your employee, not your friend, and then one of the things that's my big thing is that when you have to be very careful when you're getting into political and religious topics. Yeah. Stay away from him. And it's so easy when you let your guards down in that space. You feel like, well, I talked to you about what's going on with my kids. Why can't I have this conversation over here on my religious beliefs? That's why you have to, it's a fine line. And so, I think you have to be very careful. All right, next one.
Yes, so the next question is from Darnell Harper. He said,
hey, Darnell, how you doing?
He said, I'll add a little bit with Joseph's question. What if you're the boss in both your family and your company? Is it possible for you to separate your two lives?
Oh, wow.
It's a great question.
Wow. Okay, so all right, Darnell. Okay, that's tough. Well, let's talk about what boss means, because I think that can also be relative. I don't want to take that day. Go ahead. You want to?
Well, yeah, that would be my question. What kind of elaborate what the boss and the family looks like? Are you saying that you are a single parent, or you are maybe the one who makes decisions? Because I would think that, of course, in the company there's like a clear, hierarchy, right? You got the CEO and people, you can figure out who the leaders are. But also in the family, I would think that there would be a little bit more collaboration if there are two
there's a
adults
blend.
There's a blend. And so in either of those cases, you kind of have to separate where you can, but also see if there is a way for you to blend and offload some things and be able to be more vulnerable, especially in your family, than maybe in your company. But if that's the culture that you have in your company, then maybe that even exists there too.
And I wonder if what he means, though, and maybe he can clarify, is that if you are maybe the boss of your company, but you work with your family members there. So if you are the boss in your company and you are over your family members, is it possible to keep that separation? And so I wonder if that's maybe what he means. And then,
hey, Daryl, if you could come back in there with a little more context to what your question is, because I think that's a great question and we really would like to dive in there a little more. Okay, next. So go ahead. No, keep going, Dave.
On that question that Dr. Pinkston mentioned, I know there are couples who work together like you and Mr. Carter, right? Brother Carter. Okay. So when it comes to checking in at the door, if you're always working together, how do you do that? If you are a couple, I'm curious about that answer.
I appreciate that.
Maybe with Darnell's situation.
Well, here's one of the things that's so important to me. My husband is my husband, whether I am working or I'm at work. He is the head under God for me. And I respect him with everything inside of me. However, that does not mean that I agree with everything that he says. And so checking something at the door means checking your ego, checking your emotions, because when we come to work, we come to work. And so we're going to have the disagreements even when we're having our dialogue on the show, but because we're two separate individuals. But when it comes down to respect, the respect is the respect. And that's how we deal with it. I hope I answered that question.
And I think that is the answer to it.